Dosm's Rambles.
Hey YouTube, Dosm Rider here with my new-ish video series. It's basically a This Week in Toku News type of season video, but it's not going to be this weekend because Toku News doesn't hit every week. We mostly get like weeks where it's like bam, 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 Emerald, and you have just like weeks of Toku News, and then you get nothing. And then you have news like, oh my god, Power Rangers Valentines are out, or did you know that the Power Rangers 2017 movie was a movie that came out in 2017? Click here to find out more. No thanks. So yeah, doing a This Week in Toku type of video would be difficult because it would be a stretch to come up with stuff to talk about. So it's more like a This Moment in Toku News. So these type of videos I'll be talking about the latest Toku News compiled over a certain period of time. It could be a couple days, could be one day if I'm talking about something specific like, oh hey, this was just announced, I want to only talk about this. Could be a week. In this case, it's a couple weeks of news. So anyway, as I said in Build's review, if you didn't watch that, I'm skipping the Kyuranger review this week to bring this video instead, and also it works out because I'm going to be doubling up the Kyuranger reviews next week and do it as essentially as a two-part finale review, and that'll work out because there's going to be an extra Kyuranger video within the next week as well for the finale, the series review. And yeah, so let's just go ahead and get started. This is just going to kind of just be a general thoughts talk, not too in-depth. If I remember, when there's like a 50-50 shot I'll remember, I'll link like an article that has this stuff in it. I'm not sure if I'll put pictures up in it, because I don't know if I'll get, I know people have gotten copyright strikes before for using scan images, but I don't know. But let's start with the absolute biggest story to hit the Toku Power Rangers fandom in the last 2 weeks, which is there's going to be 25th anniversary Fliphead reissues. This news came as an absolute shock after we heard about it upwards of 6 months ago, and they've been out over a month. But the Twitter account tweeted about it, and I was like, oh my god. No, for real though. Like, I could not make a joke about that. Basically, if you didn't know, Power Rangers Twitter was like, they did like those classic things that annoy me where they make an announcement about the announcement. Like, just announce it. Like, so, but they're like, tomorrow, big news! And then the big news was the Fliphead reissues, which we've known about for quite some time. And they've also been out in stores for over a month. So, yeah. And it's not like I was expecting anything big. Like, I try not to have my expectations high. That's just kind of a general good rule, to not have your expectations too high. Especially since it's this early in the celebration. But when you're gonna go through the obnoxious hype of pre-hyping with a pre-news announcement, announcing there's going to be news, the news should not be old news. Like, I mean, like Star Wars being like, big news tomorrow, and then their account was like, Last Jedi's in theaters. I'm like, bruh, the movie came out like 2 months ago. Almost 2 months ago. No, like a month. No? I don't know. A long time. Anyway, I could not address that. But speaking of Power Rangers, the only other significant news for the Power Rangers section of the news is that there is a new significant character in Hyperforce. I've been very loosely keeping up with developments of that. I haven't been watching it. I just can't bring myself to. It just doesn't appeal to me, but I'm gonna check out one episode at one point. It's just, and plus it's on the same day as like The Flash and stuff, but whatever. But basically the main news is that there is a Time Force Silver Ranger that is being played by Yoshi. That's really cool. The Time Force Silver thing is a really cool idea, especially since Hyperforce is tied to that. But every time this stuff happens, it just makes me wish that these cool ideas were being used for something bigger. Like everything surrounding the Hyperforce mythology, including this Time Force Silver stuff, it reminds me of like expanded universe books and comics for various things, and I wish PR was successful enough that they could be doing a Hyperforce comic and other comics that could introduce stuff like Time Force Silver, because these concepts are some of the most creative stuff to come out of the franchise in like 6 years, but they're being used for a tabletop RPG. And I feel like it should have been this huge thing. Instead of just, hey, we're doing this RPG over here, it should have been like, boom, we're doing a new comic called Hyperforce, here's an RPG to go along with it, you can watch these people play, maybe we'll sell the RPG down the line. It would be really cool, and then maybe some exclusive figures if they ever gotten a figure shop done. But yeah, that was kind of cool. I thought that was neat. I don't think there's anything else huge around Power Rangers that's been happening. I could be forgetting something, but I don't think I am. As for Sentai Rider, we did get the latest batch of scans. There's not a whole lot to go into, because a lot of it is just pictures of stuff we've already seen both pictures and video of, mainly for the Patro versus Lupin stuff, or Patranger, based on a dude named Pat. It's mostly like 97% pictures of, you know, the suits and the mech and the cast, which we've already seen. We do get a couple clear shots of the mech, and I like them more and more each time I see them, and seeing sort of detailed shots was nice. And there wasn't anything new about it. The most significant thing I would say about it is just the shot of, is it Pato Yugo? It's like the fusion form of all three of the Pato Rangers suits. We've seen it before, but I feel like this was the clearest shot we've gotten of it. And it's kind of neat. It's like ugly and cool at the same time, if that makes any sense. And I think the idea was cool, but that was like the most new thing out of the scans. It wasn't new, it was just the only thing we hadn't, or at least I feel we hadn't got a clear shot on that I hadn't seen. The build stuff yielded some more new information. It was all stuff we knew about, but again, more clear pictures, because the main clear pictures came from Kamen Rider Rouge, which we knew about from earlier scans, but I don't think we've gotten any clear pictures till now. But he's really cool looking. He's basically like, the way he uses a, what is the name of it? It's like a new Transsteam gun. It's like a recolor-ish, rebranded Transsteam gun. I can't remember the name of it. It'll be in the scan pictures. Yeah, that's what he uses, and it's kind of like, it just makes me feel like if, you know, you mixed a Rider with one of the Night Rogue systems. Well, like, or just gave one of those systems a Rider name, because, let's face it, both of them look like Riders. But yeah, he's coming into play, and he's using basically a classic recolor slash, I think, slight remolding of the Transsteam gun. And he's really cool. He's got this really, it kind of reminds me a little bit, because I believe he has green eyes, reminds me a little bit of Puto Tira. I think he has green eyes? I might be misremembering that. But anyway, he looks really cool. It sounds interesting, because he's also going to have these two kind of henchmen, but they're like people that also have their own sort of Transsteam-esque systems that they can both transform, and they're brothers, and they fight alongside him, and that's really interesting. I think some really interesting stuff coming out of that, not only having this new sort of third to the triangle of Night Rogue and Bloodstalk, at least that's the way I see it, but he also has these two people, and they're not just like monsters, they're kind of Rider-esque monsters. I don't know, I just think the whole setup of it is interesting, and I'm looking forward to see it play out. And if I remember right, the bottle he uses is the Crocodile Crack bottle, which is just really funny. The only other things from those scans was a lot of nothing new in terms of, we got some more pictures of Build's latest form. Was it Black Lightning or Black something? I forget the name of it. I'm forgetting so many names. I'm such a professional, guys. This is Toku News, where the main guy talking about it has no idea what he's talking about. But like, we see shots of like the base rabbit tank form. I'm using this a lot in this video. But like, that's not really new, exciting, because like literally the show's getting to that right now. The only thing I wanted to talk about there is we got a look at the, I think it was Wolf's cell phone form of it, which might be my favorite. Like, honestly, it's as simple as the eyes changing, but just the way it flows with like the little back horns in this picture where he's like looking down looks really awesome. I think it's really neat looking. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Kind of a lackluster first start to this, but just some kind of neat scans to talk about. Build probably had the most significant stuff, but I'm looking forward to all this new stuff on the horizon. Oh, there also was a bunch of look at some new, just kind of general best matches. There's going to be a bunch of those, and those look neat. I'll kind of know more my opinions on them once I see them in action, because it's kind of hard to tell, but it's just cool to see more of those. But yeah, that has the most exciting stuff. The Pato versus Lupin is basically just getting you ready for stuff we already know, and Power Rangers news is pretty quiet at the moment. I believe we should be in for second quarter toy scans for Pato vs. Lupin soonish, so that will very likely be the next episode of this, and hopefully at least something significant happens around then. Maybe the Power Rangers Twitter will, you know, tweet about the new series Power Rangers Ninja Steel. Not Super Steel, but Ninja Steel, but we'll see. But anyway, that's about it. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It's Dosm Rider, signing out.